While investors debate whether there's more upside left in names like Five Below, many are already looking ahead to the market's next big opportunities. Anthropic making headlines this week after confidentially filing its IPO prospectus with the SEC. That's setting the stage for what could be one of the most highly anticipated public offerings of the AI era. Of course, SpaceX expected to price its IPO this month. Investors also watching for a potential future debut from OpenAI. So we got interest in the IPO market really starting to build again. So before the next big wave of names and offerings come our way, which we will be talking about on this program going forward, let's take a look back at the 5 biggest U.S. IPOs of all time by market cap and where those companies stand today. You guys pulled this research together here, and you're starting from 5, working your way up to 1, like a proper countdown.
We are, exactly, Greg. And yeah, so we've organized it based on the market cap IPO at the time it went public. And so coming at number 5 is an electric EV company, probably, I guess, the rival to Tesla in some respects, and that's Rivian Motors, symbol is RIVN. So November 2021 is when they went public. They had a deal size of approximately 11.9 billion when we talk about what they raised on that front. So not at that time, I would say that's a sizable amount. The market was soaring at this time because this was a time when there was nearly virtually zero interest rates at the time. That's when the environment was out. And so they were just they just got their IPO before we started that big downturn, in that 2022 to 23. So the timing couldn't have been better for them, but that stands at number 5 for us. And just so we're contextualizing this, again, this is market cap IPO, so whatever the price was at the IPO that got determined, that's what determined basically out of the gates what the market cap was. So this comes at a number 5 there.
Before we get to and unveil number 4, is like the current market cap of Rivian really kind of goes to show you the risk that can come along with some IPO trading, right? Look at the market cap; it's a third.
Down a third of
it's
what
a third of what it was, right? So that's not nothing, right? So all right, but without further ado, let's get to number 4. This is an oldie but a goodie. AT&T came in at number 4. They had a deal size, like this is back in April of 2000. Their deal size was still 10.6 billion. So it'd be interesting to see if we had what that looked like in terms of today's dollars. But yeah, they were certainly a big telecom boom back in the right around Y2K kind of right. It was kind of when this came to market. But yeah, they're still hanging tight on the list.
Right, and Rivian, AT&T, number 3. What do we got?
This is one that I'm a frequent user of. The ride-hailing service. I would like to think of them as the one that started the entire gig economy, and that's of course Uber. So they came into market in May of 2019, just after rival Lyft came out there. Uber was the name, the ride-hailing name at the time there, and I would say even to some respects, even today, they've obviously expanded for, their stack and what they do. They go beyond just ride-hailing services. But at the time, they had a market valuation IPO of 75.5 billion. I mean, these numbers sound small these days because we're now talking about T's instead of B's on these valuations, but even on the deal size, it was 8.1 billion that they raised at the time. Again, at the time, this company was loss-making for many, many years coming out of the IPO. But you can see today, of course, if you look at the current market cap, they've close to doubled since that time. We're talking about 7 years now on from that.
All right, number 2. We're getting closer to the top.
We are getting number 2. Yeah, number 2 is, well, they were formerly known as Facebook. Now we're talking Meta. So they were the hottest IPO of 2012, and they had a market cap at the IPO of just over 81 billion. Deal size, no slouch, at 16 billion. I remember affectionately being on the phones as an IR back in that day, and it was a wild ride, and things were quite choppy for Facebook at the time. But as we know now, they're healthily part of what we affectionately call the Mag 7.
All right, so the countdown: Rivian 5. Well, you took my list away. AT&T was 4.
Uber.
We had Uber at 3. We had Facebook, now Meta, at 2. I memorized that.
Look at you.
Fantastic. Number 1.
Well, before we get to number 1, we actually have some honorable mentions. We had some really big names that we wanted to kind of throw out for the audience. One was Visa. So they came out in 2008, March 2008. They had at the time, they had the highest deal size, just under $18 billion. So big on them for that. That was Visa. Next is, we're talking oldie but goodie. This is General Motors. After the kind of the auto crisis 2010, they reissued new shares. They're the 5th highest deal size still to this day at just over $15 billion. And we also wanted to give love to kind of, now that we've got some big IPOs coming out later in the year, you named them off eloquently earlier, but this year to date, Cerebras is the biggest IPO, deal size $5.5 billion.
A couple weeks ago,
Jay should have his own reality TV show. They say the way that we're just about to, now we tell you number 1.
Yeah, before we go into
after the break, he gave us a little bit of that action. Are we ready for number 1 now?
We should do a drum roll. So number 1 Listed on the U.S. exchange, goes to what I guess you'd call this the Amazon of Asia or China specifically. This is famous for the Singles Day, one of the record sales that they do, and this is a company that runs all of that, and that's Alibaba. So Alibaba debuted in September of 2014. It's a Chinese e-commerce conglomerate. They do from these days they do beyond just e-commerce. They do chips and AI models and all of that, and part of the mix. But at the time, they had the biggest deal size at $21.7 billion what they raised. They had a market cap IPO just a shade below 170 billion at 169 and change. And today they currently sit at roughly just close to double that, about just under 300 billion in change there. So no slouch there at the time when we talk about 2014. This was kind of the heyday of the markets, but quite a significant deal size at the time when they launched.